assume that's the wind. Committee boat at the starboard end. And this is a, say, pin end. It's a nice square line. The first thing that mistake an awful lot of people I find make is that if you draw an imaginary box behind the line, they end up hanging too much around here and too much around here, and they end up being too far away from the line. So I generally try and put myself within when the preparatory signal goes at 4 minutes to go, somewhere in this box. I've probably already at that point got an idea of where I want to start, towards this end or this end. Depending on the event, if it's a big event like a nationals, I may not try to be this boat here or this boat here. I will aim to be probably this boat here or this boat here, just because it's lower risk. Because if it goes wrong now, it can go big time wrong, whereas I can always generally get a clean start here. So my aim at the start is generally to get around the first mark in the top 3 or 4, and then try to win the race from there.
I think one of the most important things about starting, which a lot of people you see at events not do, is get a transit. That's really, really important, because you see people start in the middle if it's a square line, and there's huge lines, so getting that transit, making sure you come over by the committee boat, whichever end, and get a transit on something on the land.
Just to briefly explain what a transit is, because not many people do that in the fleet. So this is the start line, and you've got a shoreline here. You want to look at the highest point on the horizon, and you may have a dip in the landscape, or you may have a tree or something like that, a big tree. So what I generally do is I put my boat right up close behind the committee boat, almost head to wind. So I'm sat there and I sight something on the leeward end of the line, something on the shore, up here, whatever that may be. Could be a house on the top of a hill, for instance. And the reason why I do it there and I don't do it here is because if I sight it here along the line, is that when my boat's on the line, I'm affected by the time I've accelerated them over the line, whereas if I sight it here, at least I'm a little bit below the line. I'll also try and do a practice run at some point between 4 and 5 minutes. So I'll get my transit on the shore, and this is something I do at every single South Staffs Club race as well, believe it or not. So I'll get my transit and I'll pitch myself somewhere where I want to start, and I'll go here and then see how long it's going to take me to accelerate to get up to the line. In terms of bias, because with relative experience I can just basically tell by sailing along it and looking at the line. I don't generally need to spend too much time figuring out which end's biased, but effectively the simple way to do it is the end of the line you're sailing more upwind to is the end of the line you want to start at. So if the wind has clocked around a little bit this way and you're sailing along here, your sails are going to be pretty tight to get to this line. So that means you want to start at this end of the line, whereas if you were sailing this way along the line, your sails will be really broad. So that means you want to sail. You don't want to start there, you want to start towards that.
I think in my head, one of the most important things about starting is to make sure you've got a routine. I think too many people will go and do their club racing and think, oh, I'm not a championship, I'm not an event, I'm just going to get the time, look at the course and start, and I'm not going to get a transit, I'm not going to do any of my sequence that they would do at a competition. So really they need to be getting a transit every club race and make that part of their routine. So then when they get in a championship situation, they've got that routine, it's what they do every time and it's all normal. So there's no surprises in there.
Whilst I did mention that we generally, around 5 to 4 minutes to go, we've decided which end of the line we're going to start at. That can change very quickly at somewhere like South Staffs or an inland lake. So what I'm always doing, and even with 2 minutes to go, is I am looking, so if this is the windward mark here, the wind's coming down here, so I'm looking at the top end of the course, and I'm effectively looking, is it darker over here, or is it darker over here, because that's telling me where the next shift of the courses coming, and I'm late because it could potentially shift like this to this very quickly. That could determine whether I start at one end or the other, even if it's not biased, because that's the most important thing. If you're selling a bigger event, a nationals for instance, whilst that's really important, still do that, it may not have as big a consequence on where you start, because it won't be shifting as much.